All right. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And I'll start this up. All right. Is that good on everyone's screen? Okay.
Looks great.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Thomas Hennessey, founder, managing member of West Fourth LLC. It is my partner and I, and I'll start this meeting by saying that, my partner is amazing. And one of the reasons why I reached out to TRIA is that I believe that real estate investment, no matter what field you're in, and, we can certainly get into all the different fields. I've certainly been involved with most of the fields, residential, and now venturing a little bit into commercial. And it truly is a collaborative effort, and you just can't do it by yourself. It's near impossible. Sure, you can get going, sure you can get started, but if you want to scale up, if you want to develop passive income, if you want to fully extract your potential and take advantage of a tremendous market opportunity, historic low interest rates, I think having a partner, having colleagues, people you can talk to, bounce ideas off of, is truly just an amazing opportunity. And my partner, I'm extremely thankful. When I tell people in the beginning about how we met and what we got going, we basically started this on a handshake. They're so surprised. And in real estate, you just can't get bogged down with the little stuff and always stay focused on the big stuff. Both Matt and I, we started literally from zero. We had zero assets. Sure, we owned a primary residence, but we had no investment properties, no rental properties. We didn't come from a trust fund. We didn't have any form of a private equity or hedge fund. You hear about all these institutional players in the triangle because, what do you hear about in national media and CNBC? You hear about top 10 places. You hear about Durham. You hear about Raleigh. You hear about Cary. You hear about Chapel Hill. You hear about the triangle. It's a tremendous opportunity. So when I get started, and I want to talk about my background first because this is my first appearance at TRIA, and I had gone to the meetings when I was early on, and I learned a lot, and it certainly opened my eyes to a lot of options and opportunities out there and stuff to build on. And think about it as building a house. It lays a foundation for you, and it connects you with people, which is great. So. I wanted to make sure I talk about my background first, just to make sure, I'm not some wacko off the street. Like I have a pretty impressive, pretty great background in terms of how I started and what I done and the mistakes I made and the success I had. So, just quickly, I started, I obtained my real estate license in 2008 when I was in law school. After I bought my first house, I just saw what our broker did, and I saw the opportunity. I certainly saw how much money she made at the closing table when we closed, and I said, "Wow, I think I can do that. I like real estate. I want to get into it." And so I took the class at HPW Real Estate School. 2010, I graduated law school, and through the past years, I did practice law in addition to building my investment company and my brokerage. But I quickly phased out the practice of law to focus 100% on real estate and real estate investment. In 2011, I purchased my first investment property. It was an estate. It was on the MLS. It was $18,000. I wish I could, if we had hours and hours, I can talk to you about, all the what it was like to buy that, and certainly how it compares to the stuff I'm doing now. It's nowhere even close, but it was a great learning experience. So, this is my 10th year of purchasing real estate in Durham. And I should qualify and should mention that I am 100% exclusive in Durham real estate. I know it extremely well. So I encourage any form of questions. I don't think I have access to the chat, or I can't see it with my screen as it is right now. But, if anyone, I don't know how it's done, raise a hand or take your mute off or chime in, ask questions at any time. I love talking about real estate, any kind of questions. And any questions about me too, I'll basically tell you almost anything about me and what I've done and the real estate strategies that I use. So getting back to the first investment property, I became a real estate instructor. I got licensed or certified through North Carolina real estate commission. And I started teaching, if there's any brokers here, I'm sure you've gone through post-licensing or done CE. So I got certified, and that's really where I learned a lot about brokerage, a lot about strategies, a lot about agency laws, just a lot of negotiation tactics. It's really amazing. I do encourage, anyone involved in real estate, doesn't matter what part you're in, buy that manual. It's 500 pages, whatever it is. You can ask my wife. I used to take it to the beach. I was sitting on my beach chair reading a 500-page real estate manual, and I read that thing probably cover to cover, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So good. It's really, really good. 2013, after our first 5 or 6 properties or so, we worked with our first community bank, Providence Bank, to close our first portfolio loan. 5 properties. We got a line of credit. It was for a massive sum back then. It was $250,000. We thought we were on top of the world. Now doing a $250,000 loan is like nothing for our company. But back then, 2013, that was a huge deal, and something that really opened up the floodgates to keep buying more, and a little bit of our strategy in the beginning. And for any new investors, or for any other seminars on new investors, we worked with a private mortgage broker at that time. We paid some money. We paid a point or whatever it was. It wasn't hard money, but it was an individual who specialized in working with young investors. And I certainly can, I'll never forget him. He was great. He helped us in the beginning, and we can talk about that. It was well worth the money to work with a guy like that. In 2014, I started gathering some success, and I actually wrote a manual as my first publication. It was titled Working with Residential Investors. It was a continuing education manual that was approved through the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. And it was approved to be taught, and people paid money for the class to get their CE credit, CE elective credit. And I taught, some classes had 50 people in it. It was a tremendous experience, about getting going and what it was like to work with residential investors. Through the next years, we don't need to get into it, but I slowly built up my portfolio, and 2018 really was, the catapult at that point, where it was my first major portfolio acquisition. It was $2.6 million, 6 or 17 different properties. I think it was about 36 units. Most were multifamily. It was a big deal. How we structured that thing, the exit strategy, the putting the loan together, the rehab, it was only 50% occupied. It was absolutely tremendous. I mean, there's 3 properties in that deal right now that are worth probably $1.6 million. So that means the other 14 or 13, whatever it was, I think there was 1 piece of land, I basically bought for $1 million. And that was only 3 years ago. I mean, that was a tremendous deal that, I easily made $1.5 million on paper. That certainly opened up other opportunities going forward. And this was an off-market deal, which we can talk about, if anyone has any questions. And 2019, first ground up construction, which then started opening up some tax strategies and working with a great builder. And 2021, finally, first commercial property. If anyone has ever been in downtown Durham, 5 Points, the old whiskey Criterion Bar, a few of my friends and I, and my partner, of course, bought that. And we're super excited to be working with one of our friends who's an operator who's going to go in there and open up in the next couple of months or so. So right now, currently, again, just tell me all this so you know and how to qualify some of the things I'll be talking about today. Started from zero, currently have 97 properties, about 173 units, and it's around 30 million in valuation. So I'm extremely proud of that. So when I reached out to Kathy to talk about speaking opportunities, and Kathy responded back and said, what do you think? What might be a good topic, something that's really interesting? And after doing it for 10 years, there's many, but this one in particular, the 1118 Gurley Street, this transaction that we did, it is really interesting because it involves many strategies, tax strategies, acquisitions, new builds, build to sell, build to rent, 1031, leveraging, negotiating with your bank, moving on to more assets, selling to acquire more while keeping. It had it all wrapped up into one, and it, I don't think I necessarily planned it that way when we purchased it, but it all came together unbelievably, extremely well. And as I get into the details, I'll certainly tell you more about it. And it really was a first of its kind for Durham. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm 100% Durham, so I don't know the zoning code in Raleigh, and I don't know the zoning code in Chapel Hill or Cary, but Durham, some nights lay in my bed, looking at my phone. It's not Twitter or anything. It's the Durham UDO, just looking up provisions on how I can extract value through the zoning. And it's funny, when I used to teach, I was young and I didn't know much and I didn't do much with development. I used to blow over that stuff, the zoning. I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. We're all selling single family houses. We're all brokers, no big deal. But now, you look into the zoning and you know the zoning code, and you can extract so much equity, so much money by just knowing the zoning code, and other people don't know it. It's so new, it's so fresh in Durham. I can tell you quickly about one property I bought on a corner. It was a long corner, wide enough, and I was able to chop off the rear part for a small lot. The broker didn't know about it. I found the deal on Craigslist. The wholesaler slipped and messed up, and he was like, yeah, I'm working with the property manager's wife, and in Durham, I know who that is. There's only really one husband-wife, combo who's been doing it for a while, and based on the quality of the property and where it was, I had a good guess. So I called my friend and I said, hey, by the way, are you working with this person? And she's like, yeah, this guy's jerking me around. He's not doing anything. I was like, can we just do the deal today? Great. $150,000. This was about a year ago. Subdivided the rear portion of the lot. That lot is now worth $100,000. The house is worth $250,000. So I paid $150,000. I fixed up the house maybe only for $15,000. It wasn't even that much. I was in it for $165,000. Now it's worth $350,000. That's pretty darn good. About to build a single family house on it that will hopefully sell for $400,000. That's pretty tremendous. All from a Craigslist lead. Why did I know the value was there? Through the Durham zoning code, and all the changes. Again, sometimes I might go off on tangents, but feel free to stop me. But it was funny, about 2 years ago when this passed, I was in Durham with my business partner. We got a drink, and the bartender said, what's going on tonight, guys? What's going on? And I said, oh, we're celebrating. He said, what? What are you celebrating? A birthday? I said, no, the zoning code changed. It passed. We're super excited. We're celebrating. And the guy looked at me like, I had three heads, right? And he didn't know what was going on. But I knew at that moment, that was it. The floodgates were open to, looking for value and finding value and creating value much easier than in the past. So Gurley Street, this is a great example. I bought this house on the left of the screen. And what you see on the right is what I built. And actually, it's double that. So it's two single family houses. So what you see on the right side, double it. That's the left part of it. I just didn't have a full picture of the full development. So it's four structures. But on the left, that's what it was. When I bought it at the time, whatever it was, I think it was 2018, 2019. It was for $250,000, and people thought I was crazy. So here's the timeline, the numbers, 2019. Bought it for $250,000. It was non-occupied, not in the great shape, but it was livable. It was fine. I was able to rent it for $600 a side. So you all can do the numbers, for any buy and hold investors in here. Your cash flow is at $1,200 a month, and you just paid $250,000 for it. That doesn't make sense. It does not. That's why appraisers actually called me and said, why'd you pay $250,000 for this? We can't use it as a comp. And I said, well, I think there's potential here. So no one really saw it. It sat on the market for a while, but rented out, got some cash flow, had an interest-only note, covered my note for a while, for about a year or so, and kept it rented. When after the zoning code passed, which was, I think it was mid to early 2000, something like that, I said, okay. I reached out to our civil engineer, our surveyor, got it surveyed, got all this, put a little sketch together, and we said, all right, now's the time. We're developing this lot. Let's remove the existing structure. Now, I put a little star here. And again, let me preface all this by saying, I'm not a tax advisor, not an accountant. I'm not giving tax advice or anything. I just want to open your eyes to potential out there where you can extract value and save some money, because we all know if you're in the game of real estate, real estate is one of the few professions out there that allows you to employ a tax strategy that is extremely favorable, and that's why the codes are written that way, to give you the opportunity to extract some really good tax benefits. So here's one. So we removed the existing structure. Because that structure was placed in service, we were entitled to a write-off of the value of the structure, according to our CPA. And it really certainly helped create a loss that year, paper loss, which obviously is really great. Most real estate investors, certainly buy and hold investors, want to create a paper loss. We can get into that later. So then we put site plan together, which I'll come up on the next slide. We submitted to the city of Durham. And like I said, it was really a case this was one of the first to utilize small lots, which was featured in the new zoning code, and reduced lot sizes for duplex. Prior to all this, I think you needed about 7,000, 7,500 square feet for a duplex lot. Now you can go down to 5,000. Small lot said you can build 1,200 square foot house on a lot no smaller than 2,000 square feet. So I think these lots ended up being about 25-ish, 100 or so. Let me turn on a light here. Excuse me for a second. All right. There we go. All right. Make sure. Hopefully that's a little bit better. All right. So this, what's shown on the screen right here. When I bought 1118 Gurley Street, it was one lot. It was an oversized lot. It was about 96 feet wide, the left to right, or I should say, west to east. The lot line's running north to south, however you want to say it. 96 feet wide by about 178. What that allowed me to do is to create 2 flag lots, which provided the required road frontage for full-size lots. Those flags are 40 feet each. So that's what you see in the middle, which we used as our common access, basically driveways. So give you 40 feet to do landscaping and driveways to access the rear duplexes. So in the back, those shaded boxes are 4 townhouse style duplexes. They're 2 separate structures, each structure with 2 feet. Each structure with 2 units. The front 2 lots, which are on the left, the very small shaded, there we go. Let me do this. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So the two rectangles in the front are your small lot single family homes. And as you can see, they're very narrow. It was only 16 feet wide by 40 feet. And as you'll see on the next screen, let's see. Here we go. So all those 4 structures, the build cost was $1.4 million. So we were all in at 1.65 because our land cost was $250. I'm not counting in, the commission since I'm still licensed. It was on the MLS. I got a commission, but whatever. We're not factoring that in. The 2 single family small lots, you have a max footprint of 800 square feet. Your max finished square foot of 1,200 square feet. So with that, we basically created, a very narrow home, which, after the fact, if anyone's interested, I can talk about the floor plan or show you images, send you the MLS listing. It was great. High-end finishes, polished concrete floors, nice, when I say open concept, open for 16 feet, I mean, how much wide, you don't need much wider of a living room than 16 feet. So it was narrow and long with 2 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms upstairs, an office, kitchen, small dining, and living room downstairs. Amazing product. My business partner and I, we actually designed it ourselves. We work with an individual who does all the construction drawings. We don't work with an architect for projects like this. Our bigger ones, yes, we will, of course. But for a project this size, we work with an individual who does all the permit drawings. We do all the design, we do exterior design, we do floor plan design, because quite honestly, through the years, after the 14 years of doing real estate, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of homes, and the same for my business partner. So we have pretty good sense on what the consumer, whether it's a buyer or tenant, wants. So we designed the duplexes and the small lots. 2 full-size duplexes, as I said, 4 townhome style. We purposely designed these because of the specific location. It's very close to Motorco, Full Steam, downtown Durham. It's in a great neighborhood. We purposely designed these to be 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. So every single bedroom has its own bathroom. So our tenants in there right now, law student, medical resident, 3 young professionals, and 3 PA students. And what do they all say? Wow, this is amazing. Each bedroom has its own bathroom. This is awesome. The layout is unbelievable. So I'll get into the numbers a bit in terms of rent and sales price and everything. But in terms of design, layout, This was one of the first and fully extracted the land value. $250,000, even if you divide that by 4, that's $62,500 per lot. I mean, what are lots going for right now? Certainly in downtown areas, you see some lots at $200,000. For a duplex at $62,500 per lot, even if you allocate more because the small house is on a different valuation, even if you say $75,000, it's only $37,500 per unit. That's unheard of. That's using the zoning code to extract value. And I guess let me preface this, or this might be a good time to say that I know that Tree is full of a wide array of real estate professionals, whether you're a broker, wholesaler, buy and hold, builder, anything else. Whatever it is you do, knowing how to extract value, no matter what your strategy is, whether you want to sign this, wholesale it, build it, rent it, build to sell, build to rent, whatever, how you extract value and how you can sell the end user or sell yourself on the value of your land and how to fully extract your land value is applicable to no matter what field you're in, no matter what you do in real estate. Knowing your land value is absolutely critical. And how I did that 1012 North Duke Street deal, clearly all sides, except for my side, of course, all sides on the other side didn't know the value of the land. And that's tremendous. So, it's kind of funny. My business partner was like, don't tell all of our trade secrets. I said, listen, I'll basically tell them anything. I may not tell you what's in my bank account. Okay, not everything, but all this is public record. Anyone can go on to the Durham tax record, Durham search tax code, or the tax records, real property record search. Type in West Fourth, and you can see all the properties that I own, right? Or Matt and I own. So it's no secret. You can back into it. So, and part of doing this is to all collaborate and, know each other and see how we could help each other. So it's really, I'm not revealing any secrets or anything like that because everything is all public record. So, okay, so here we go. Analysis and banking. So in this transaction, we originally started out to build all 4 lots and hold for rent. When we saw the market heating up in Durham, especially this past year, we saw that the small lot single family homes for the price that we paid to build it, which was approximately $240 or so, $225-ish or so, $225, $230. But when we assessed the price that we paid to build it versus what the market was doing, the crazy demand, we said to ourselves, okay, we have an opportunity that we can really extract value. So my good friend, my buddy, and he's actually a partner in one of the commercial deals, Jeff Goldman at 501 Realty. He's an amazing friend, known him for many, many years. Reached out to him to consult with him on listing the 2 single family houses. Again, our initial strategy was to build to rent all 6 units. But I think in real estate, no matter what you do, I think you have to adapt, and I think you have to keep your eyes open to other strategies. And certainly things that you may have looked at months ago and you thought was a great plan, a few months after the fact, you might open your eyes or you might learn something or something might pop up and say, wait a second, let me reassess that. And I did it actually with a transaction I just got under contract with. I just, my friends and I and people I talked to, we kind of saw it wrong in the beginning, and now we think we're going to make it work. And if we do, it's going to be extremely successful. So in this situation, the small homes, 1,200 square feet, we saw the price per square foot rising quite rapidly in the last spring housing market. So we said, okay, let's list these things. Let's take a stab at it. $390. Of course, like most areas this past housing market, multiple offers, and we bumped it up a little bit to $393. I guess let me tell you about the duplexes, because then that leads into my next point. So before I get into the payoffs and 1031, all this strategy on it, let me see how I'm doing on time. And okay, I guess Kathy, keep me up to raise your hand or something if I keep going long or keep going on. But we knew at all times, no matter what, we would not sell the duplexes, just because the way we designed them, they were designed for renters, and we figured the cash flow would be strong. So I listed them. I do all my listings through Zillow, listed for $2,600 per month per side. So that means all 4 units. One was slightly less. So that's why you'll see the total monthly rent is 10.2. And I think that kind of made sense, especially for roommates. What I think the market's at for roommates in this particular area is around 800 to 900 basically per room. Now, we don't run rooming houses or anything like that. It's just in terms of saying, hey, young professionals or grad students or family, whoever it may be, who may want this kind of setup. That's how we saw the valuation, and the market confirmed that, and we were extremely happy with that. I mean, our build cost on those duplexes was about $425, $450. So when you think about build costs, and I know back in the day, I'm only 10 years into it, but I know you shouldn't say back in the day, but when we all started out, we all said, hey, the 1% rule, this is great, take your monthly rent, times it by 100, that should be your total all in. Now, we all know that's a fantasy right now. Sometimes you can create it, but it's extremely hard. It's almost like hitting the lottery. But in this situation, even if you look at the 1% rule, times that 10.2 by 100, you're at, $1,020,000 in terms of what these things are worth. In fact, I think they're actually worth more because I've seen the gross rent multiplier actually go up. Certainly it's not 100. I mean, it's probably 150. I mean, I just saw the quads on Gear and Rosetta, or Rosetta and Edwards, go for, I think, a 178 for a quad. And I mean, there's added benefits to a quad, and you get 4 units, but all that. But even at 150, you're talking about 1.5 million on this kind of cash flow. So that basically far exceeds our build costs, almost exceeds our all-in costs. Oh, and now guess what? Let's not forget. Let's go back to the 2 small lot single families, which on contract for $390. Yeah, sure, you got selling costs and brokerage costs and all that. Okay, whatever that was, 40 grand or so, 350. You're cash out 700,000. So in terms of what this development was, and you look back at that 1% rule, and you always use that as a rule of thumb, it's a fantasy, but when you come through the opportunity with this hybrid strategy of partial build to rent, partial build to sell, you may very well be able to accomplish this with large oversized lots. And, again, I don't want to belabor a point, but again, wholesalers, anyone out there, brokers or anything, keep my number, or, for any of your clients. Now, this is kind of how you sell it and how you bump up your fee a little bit, or brokerage fees, right? And how you generate sales with all this, because you can look at this and say, whoa, hey, drive by 1118 Gurley. You can do this. These numbers are out of control. So the third point, we're really, again, staying adaptive, and sometimes people say, what's your business plan or what's your strategy and all this? And I don't have a business plan. I don't. So just be honest, every deal is different, and deals are fluid, and they change all the time. And even this one, it changes at the very last moment. So we know 2 things. We knew that we were getting some cash out from the small lot single families. Okay. We also knew that there was a way to roll this cash over into another transaction. Now, this transaction, I can get into it, but it was something I found off market. It's something I'm really good at in terms of finding off market deals. And I am, most of what I do is off market. Sometimes I go to the MLS. I got a few things on the MLS under contract, but they're hard to buy on the MLS. Although looking back 5 years ago, you could have bought anything on the MLS and been perfectly fine. But still, though, I think the saying applies. I still think anytime you can go off market, find a decent deal off market, I think you're going to be doing pretty well. So this particular owner, and the timing just worked out. It wasn't planned. It just, the owner picked up the call, said, hey, how's it going? I called you a few months ago, 5-6 months ago. This is Tom Hennessey. Oh yeah, hey Tom, what's going on? They said, what are you thinking? We're looking for, some properties to purchase. Are you ready to sell? And I had reached out to this person every 5 or 6 months over the last 2 years. And that's generally how most of my off-market deals go. Or the property I have under contract, same exact thing. And I just, it was the right time. He said, you know what, I'm finally ready to sell. And that really got things turning for my business partner and I, because the timing worked out. Couldn't have worked out better, because we had these strong cash flowing assets, and we're just about to sell the small single family homes at a tremendous margin. Here's the kicker. And this is why I believe that I know a lot of, a lot of investors, a lot of new investors, I know they start out with hard money lenders. And believe me, in the beginning, I worked with a couple, and they were great in the beginning because they opened up opportunities when I couldn't obtain traditional financing or work with community banks because I didn't have the track record. But when you do, knowing your banks and having a great relationship with your banks is almost like, being in a marriage. It truly is. There's always a give and a take. It's always got to be a harmonious relationship going forward. And I think that the important thing is, you're going forward together. And the question is, how can we work together and how can we help each other? Banks need to lend. That's how they make money. They make money on their depositors' money. They charge interest. They pay a little bit. They collect a lot of it. But even though rates are pretty slow, their margins are good. But anyway, so developing the relationships, and I'll go off on a slight tangent, especially for new investors here, and for if there's any other subgroups with new investors, I can tell them. So no joke, on the weekends, I still do it. I go on the Durham County Register of Deeds website and I search deed of trust, and I go back in month increments. Now you're going to come across hundreds, maybe 1,000. So you can only go in 10-day increments. So I search by deed of trust. And I keep scrolling through. Now, I don't look at the mirrors, mortgage electronic recording system, or anything like that. I just look for LLCs or banks that aren't traditional banks, no Bank of Americas or anything like that. So I look for, M&F, Union, Providence, Carter, Benchmark, Town, all the regional community banks, Home Trust, right? United, and I see who's active, right? And then from there, you can go to the deed of trust and you can see what property type that this bank may be interested in. So, going forward, if you locate this property type, you can develop a relationship. You can know, hey, Union does this kind of things because they've done 3 other deals like this before in the past. You can track it and you can build some credibility with the banker and say, hey, I know you did the deal over there at 1 Main Street with so-and-so LLC. I'm thinking about doing something similar. Let's plan a time to meet and talk about it. So developing those relationships are critical. And in this situation, we have a great relationship with Home Trust Bank. And we said to our banker there, we said, listen, we know you have the global construction loan. You have 1 loan on all 4 lots for everything that we did. Interest only, 18 months, then it was going to roll over. Okay. But we decided to sell 2 with, of course, they were fine with it. No big deal. So we said, hey, we rented out the 4 duplex units for $2,600 a month. That's actually more than we thought. 10-2. Okay. And we know we're going to pay down some of the loan. So let's negotiate our payoff because 10-2 can support a hell of a mortgage note. It surely can. So you got to figure that. You can apply the 100, multiplier rule. So that typically should be able to support $1 million loan, right? Maybe a little less if your bank's a little conservative, whatever, $1 million loan. So for our loan, whatever it was, 1.314, whatever I had written down there, whatever that was, I think it was like 1.35. So we said, hey, these 2 small lots, because of the strong cash flow of the ones in the back, for you to do a partial release, and I'm sure Kathy could tell you about their partial release deeds, and banks, they sign them, no big deal, right? You don't need to pay it all off at once. Would you consider a payoff of $150,000 on each lot, knowing that our net sales price after cost and everything would be $350,000? That gives us the ability to extract $200,000 out per house. That's $400,000, pretty darn good. So we negotiated back and forth. They came back and we actually had, a negotiation. We settled in, I think it was around 170, 175. So tremendous. Because that was about whatever I said, 350 or so that we got out. Now, here's the kicker. Okay. So tax strategies. What are you going to do with that 350? Okay. Individuals in real estate, the tax code provides you an opportunity to, defer out, push out your tax or minimize your tax liability. And it's not just for your real estate activities. It could be from other income as well if you're a qualified real estate professional, which again, not tax advice. I'm just telling us because I read so much all through the years, bought books, internet, worked with great accountants. We have tax credit consultants, we have depreciation consultants, and of course we have our CPA. I think my last tax return this past year was like 800 pages, whatever it was, and cost a whole lot of money with consultant fees and CPAs and all that to develop a strategy. But obviously it's great. it's perfectly employed strategy, and it worked extremely well. So in this situation, so not only do we have build to rent, build to sell, all this, negotiating with the bank, now you're saying to yourself, okay, so I'm cashing out this money. It's a gain, short-term capital gain, because it's held it for less than a year on the build aspect. So, you can get into it. The original sales date was maybe over a year, but you build. I don't want to get into it. The point is, it opens up the possibility to do a 1031 so that you can push out your gains. And again, there's separate people, advisors on 1031. So not every deal qualifies for 1031, but hey, the people we spoke to said, yep, do a 1031. And the timing worked out because I just found this off-market deal to acquire 6 new properties, 4 duplexes, 2 single-family homes, 10 units. Okay, so the 1031 said, wow, I could take the 300, 350, whatever I was going to net out of my sales, keep 2 duplexes, cash flow is immediately strong, use that money to acquire 6 more, and guess what? Out of all this, how much am I out of pocket to acquire? The 6 new properties was 1.3 million. How much? 0. Okay. Anytime in real estate, as you get going, no matter what you do, you hit that snowball effect. There's going to be options going forward and how you can develop a strategy to basically buy property with 0. Now, I know getting going, buying property with 0 out of your pocket may involve hard money or private lenders or private individuals. Okay, like I said in the beginning, that's fine. You're going to be paying a price. But when you hit a point, know that there's strategies available, that this hybrid strategy of build some to sell, build some to keep, could be a tremendous opportunity for you to roll over your profits, buy more, and then guess what? These 6 new properties, I'll get into it, but 2 of them offer the same exact development opportunity. So before I get into that, I want to talk about just quickly, just to open your eyes to a strategy. And this is one of the consultants I was alluding to, that, rental properties, especially new builds, and certainly the bigger the better. But these are on the smaller end, but some of the deals I'll be doing in the future offer great opportunities to do this. So every property, whether it's commercial or residential, will have a depreciation and pursuant to the IRS tax code, a useful life. Residential's 27 and a half years, which you depreciate your not your land, only your improvements. Commercial, 39 years. There are consultants you can hire that can do a study on your property and accelerate depreciation and identify certain parts of your property that could be classified as personal property or items that depreciate faster than the 27 and a half or 39. And then, there's new certain IRS tax regs. I don't mean to talk vague, but I can't tell you the exact regs on that. Like I said, I'm not a CPA. I'm sure a CPA can tell you, but I just know that they're there, that you can utilize these regs to say, okay, we can identify these 10 different items that were incorporated into your new bill that actually accelerate on a 5-year cycle, but pursuant to whatever regulation it is, you're actually able to fill out this form, you sign it, you identify it. You can take forward that those items that depreciate faster and actually accelerate it and depreciate it in year 1. So what I've always been told as a rule of thumb is anywhere from 20 to 30% of your build costs can be accelerated in terms of depreciation. So when you have a total build cost of around $900,000, 20% is $180,000, 30% is $270,000. So if you meet somewhere in the middle, you're creating a paper loss through your depreciation with these townhouse style duplexes that will offset income. Okay, so now keep in mind, this is depreciation that you're pulling forward. So if you ever do decide to sell the duplex going forward, your tax professional will advise you that, say, there's this provision about depreciation recapture, and you're going to have to pay that back at some point. But it's all about now and what you can do going forward, what your end game is, whether it's 1031ing into triple net assets or whatever it may be. Just know that, down the road, you're going to have to address it. But for now, the duplexes, there's no way they're going to create on paper $200,000 worth of gains. So you're going to be able to create a loss from those properties, which flows to the other properties. And when you have a lot of properties that are actually extremely cash flow positive and create, great profits, you're able to take those paper losses, offset your profits, and minimize your taxable revenue or your taxable profit, and then obviously minimize your tax liability on your gains. Which, whether you're doing 1031 or you're accelerating your depreciation or you're doing tax credits, those options are out there. I talked to a new real estate investor who said, last year, he's like, man, He's like, I got to talk to you. I got a tax bill last year for $50,000. I'm like, don't even tell me that. I was like, you know, we got to talk. We got to figure it out. There are ways, you know, that can be minimized, that can be handled properly with the proper strategy. So that is one of the opportunities that we are afforded being in the game of real estate. So like I did say, you know, your CPA is probably going to say, hey, you need real estate professional status. But my guess is you're on this call, and you know, so long as you have material and active participation, then you're probably going to qualify. I would think it's probably going to be fine. So, you know, the 1031. So, you know, keep those duplexes. They're cash flowing. The tenants are amazing. Absolutely great. You know, the 1st through the 5th of the month is my favorite time because my Venmo keeps blowing up. It's great. You know, so these tenants, they pay like clockwork. They're awesome. So now we take those gains, we move into the next development. So this is part exit strategy. So the first part of it was sell those two small houses, 1031 into the next development. The other exit strategy was keep the 2 duplex new builds, the 4 townhouse style new builds, roll over that interest only loan, term it out to a P&I, and pay down that principal while, you know, taking advantage of historic low interest rates. So now this one, you know, the last step in our exit strategy from this small infill development, only $1.5 million and 1.4. I mean, 1.65, whatever it was. I mean, it's relatively small when you look at some of the massive development going on in downtown, but you're able to do so much from it if you know the critical steps and strategies. I moved the gains over to be a 1031 to a $1.3 million purchase price, 10-unit portfolio, off market, direct to owner, no brokers, no nothing. Great transaction, awesome. Tenants are great, you know, they're all under market value. That's fine, but it's a value add opportunity. 4 duplexes, which are great. Fix them up. I already fixed up one. Got a housing voucher recipient in there. Amazing. The rent went from, I don't know, $600, $550, all the way up to $1,050, $500 a month. You know, if I do that eight times, that's $4,000 a month. That's tremendous. Tremendous value add. You put a gross rent multiplier on that increase that you create $600,000 on it if you put a 150 multiple on it. So, you know, you could do that all in the course of a year, 18 months. And I don't know about you, but, you know, creating $400,000 of value in 12 months to 18 months, you know, most professionals just don't make that much money, but you can do it. You can do it with these value add opportunities. And now the great thing is the 2 single family homes, why this portfolio was extremely desirable is you could do the same exact thing, even though it wasn't on separate lots. Again, as long as you adapt, 2 single family homes on oversized lots, deep, wide. One lot can be subdivided with a flag for 2 duplexes. Same thing. I might do the same strategy, might do the same builds. I don't know. Maybe I'll change it a little bit. Maybe I'll do some rooftops. Not really sure. But again, 2 duplexes built to rent. You're going to have $1 million plus valuation of 1.4. Easily, those things are $700,000 each based on the cash flows that they'll bring in. Awesome rooftop terraces. We'll do something like that. The other one, instead of 2, you get 3. So, you know, that $200,000 gain that you know, you made, now you tack on another one because we could actually do 3 small single family homes. And there's actually even a better comp that came up just a few blocks away that really reinforced the value to provide an opportunity to do a tear down, new subdivide, and new build. So that was that's the case study. So sorry if I went fast. I get excited for all this.
You talk like me.
Yeah.
I love it. Listen, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. And while you are doing that, I would like to say something. I don't know if y'all are paying attention. You got a lot of tidbits there tonight. I mean, and this is what we always say about TRIA, you know. And I don't know if you caught what Thomas said. Oh, my partner said, don't give away all our secrets, but I'm telling you everything, because that's what we do in TRIA. You aren't going to find people who want to compete with you. You find people who are going to share their knowledge with you. And you know what? We always say this as well. The more you give, once you join and get involved, give, because the more you give, the more you get back. I mean, Thomas came here tonight, just freely shared his knowledge. He's also going to talk at new investors, I think, next month. But you know what? There's his information. And along the way, someone might find a property in Durham and remember this and say, hey, wow, I wonder if I could turn this into 4 lots. And they might get in touch with Thomas and do a JV or wholesale it to him. I mean, he's giving freely, but he's probably also creating opportunities for himself, because these little tidbits he gave you, dude, that thing about following searching the deeds of trust and
Yeah.
researching the banks. I mean, who does that, right? That's what you get here in Tria. That's why people stay in Tria, because these are the things that keep giving back to you. Like, someone gets a little method like that and they share it with you, and not only that, but the creative tax strategies were awesome. Just knowing, what you can do out there with the zoning code. I mean, you guys, there was so much fantastic information on here tonight. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Helen Feeney's asking, do you have a table to show the zoning codes? Helen, I'll let Thomas answer if he wants, but you can.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull up the chat. Hold on. I'll stop sharing my screen here.
In
Hold
every
on.
county, those are online, so you can always find them for any county, Helen.
Let me see. Oh, stop share. Hold on. Okay.
And then once
I got the chat up. So do you have a table to show the zoning codes?
So basically, every county has their zoning codes online. It'll have an overlay
Right.
showing you what it'll give a chart of what each designation is. Oh gosh, it got dark outside. I should go in, huh? And then it'll also give you a map overlay or show you what is zoned. Every single county has that available online.
Yeah, and for Durham, you can just Google search Durham NC UDO, Durham NC Unified Development Ordinance, and it'll pop up. And it'll take some time to get used to it and look through it. And then of course you can go to the GIS. You can do zoning overlays, and you can see what particular zone that a particular property might be in.
Yeah, that's a good question, Helen. But yeah, because you can do that for every county, of course, not just Durham. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? Because that was a lot of information to absorb. I would think y'all would have some questions. Well, that was
Okay, that was walking away and talking at the same time, so that didn't come through very good.
Sorry, I need to turn the light on. I was just saying that was a lot of information. I would think there was, but it was also very well presented. So maybe everyone just I mean, that was just fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, seriously. We all want to be you when we grow up.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Well, we could have drinks at my bar soon when it opens. Yeah.
No, wait, you didn't tell us about that part. Go
yeah,
on.
Yeah, the whiskey bar in 5 Points. Yeah, it's gonna be 2 bars. One, and they just did a press release. You can Google search it. It's Remedy Room will be the ground floor, and Ruby's on 5 Points will be the second floor.
In Raleigh?
Oh no, in Durham.
And Ruby's?
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
There.
Hang on, let's Google that.
We have a tree meeting there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm there.
If I can find
I want to invite to the housewarming party.
Let's see.
A bar warming party?
Well, yeah, whatever. It could be like my house. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. If you Google search it, yeah, there was a nice article in the Indy, I think that highlighted Sean and the 2 individuals who are going to help him run it. So it has some information
so cool. We'll look it up. All right. Well, if no one has any questions, we are going to thank Thomas once again for his time. Oh, Sherilyn Baker said, great creativity. Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah, keep my number. Call anytime. I love talking about real estate, as you can tell. And if there's anything else, this is just one example. So
we are going to thank Thomas once again and let him go. And Thomas, I look forward to seeing you at New Investors that's in November, right?
I thought October.
October. Oh, right. Because it's not October yet. Yeah. Okay. Yes. New Investors in October. So thanks again. And y'all, if you want to hear more, are you doing a different topic?
For the New Investors?
Yeah. Because
I don't think we discussed the topic yet.
This is probably a little advanced for them, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, for New Investors. Yeah, I think the new investors, it could, they really should come with a bunch of questions, and, it should be Q&A focused.
Good. That would be great. All right. So if you want to hear more from Thomas, come to New Investors. Otherwise, everyone, hope you have a great evening. Thanks for hanging out with us, and hope you all enjoyed.
All right. Thank you all.
Ciao.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Whew, that was good information and concise.
But I haven't received, I didn't know he was talking at New Investors. Andrew sent me nothing.
I'm not sure it's October.
Andrew has not told me who his October speaker is.
Yeah, I'm pretty, so yeah, if he said October, it's probably him, but he told me he wanted to do both. He I think had an idea of just doing like a basic Q&A for new investors. So I hooked him up with Andrew. I hope to God Andrew's gotten in touch with him.
I don't know, because I haven't gotten anything from Andrew.
Might want to reach out to him. I emailed a couple times, included both of them on the emails, and Andrew said, yeah, but did he have someone already? I don't remember.
I'll send him an email and tell him he's about the only, well, no, he's not the only one I'm missing, but I mean, I've got a lot of October's already up on the calendar, so.
Cool.
Getting there. Anyway, yeah, it's in downtown Durham, 5 points, not Raleigh.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. We can drive to Durham, have an outing. Should go
Have
to
an outing?
an
A
outing,
road trip?
a road trip.
Probably do the road trip. Yeah, for sure.
Go to the grand opening, maybe.
Oh, well, if we get an invite.
Sure, we can wrangle one.
I mean, I'm kind of cranky about my computer.
Yeah.
They didn't do what I asked them to do.
I know. Oh, that sucks.
I guess I'll be paying a visit tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hmm?
When I was getting on this meeting, I thought mine went out again. I was getting the black screen of death and I was freaking out, and then all of a sudden it just came back.
Well, I think Zoom was messed up because it was in and out.
Yeah, it was
Even
definitely Zoom, because it was everybody who spoke. When I had an echo and there's no reason for it, and Leslie had an echo. He had an echo when he started.
Well, I know it was
the echo was because Ernest had his
Ernest Parker
mic.
would not mute.
Yeah, he wasn't on mute, and then he was listening on his computer and his phone. When you do that, you're gonna get feed. So every time when I hit mute the first time and turn it back on, it shut him off, and then I just kept putting him in the waiting room, and then it would go away every time. So I figured out he was the issue.
And then when Thomas's started screwing up, if I unmuted myself, his cleared up, and then I muted back.
Yeah.
So there
well,
was something
that's
going
good
on
to
with
know,
Zoom.
because if it happens again, then I can tell people, hey, somebody's messing. How'd you figure out who it was, Lionel?
I just kept watching him, and every time he was unmuted, you would get that feedback, and then it was because he was on his computer and phone. When you do both, then it's going to do that every single time.
Right,
So
you
I would
have
just
to
kick him out.
turn one of them off.
Yeah, so I would kick him out.
See, I never would have thought of that. And I figured out Mr. Wang.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they joined today and I kept looking for him, but he wasn't there.
No, because he's a secondary member on a small business.
Right.
And she entered the other two, but not him. And he doesn't even have an account in the database. That's why she couldn't. And I've emailed her, but she registered and then sent him the link is what she did.
Oh, got it. So really just fuck us up. Thanks a lot.
So, but she might be getting a little note saying, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
That's
fourth
fraud.
one wasn't
That's-
registered either, were they?
Who?
2 of the
Who?
4 were registered, right?
She
Someone-
registered, the
someone
other
else-
two
someone-
weren't.
someone else came on who I presume was one of their partners, who I did find that they just joined today, but they were not registered, but I checked them in.
Oh, I didn't see that. She sent me an email saying she's
Like-
having trouble
Yeah.
putting them in, but when I looked at her account, 2 of them are related, so they're fine. But the
Was
one that
of the
wanted to get
names-
in the meeting wasn't.
One of the names was like
Zhao Li, Geoman Lee.
Yeah, that's the one I let in. 'Cause
Yeah.
I found them, I found their account and they just weren't registered, so I just,
Jenny Shu is the other one,
Yeah,
along with Rudy Wang and Kathy Campbell.
yeah, but he's not even in the database, Wang. And I texted him and said, get yourself a freaking account in the database or you can't be on the membership. And I got crickets. So screw him. If she sends him another link, she's going to hear about it.
yep.
I'll send her another email tomorrow morning just saying you need to make sure that Mr. Wang sets up an account like the other 2 smarty cookies have.
Is it Catherine Campbell?
Kathy
Kathy
Kimball.
Oh, Kimball, okay.
CATHY.
And I'm noticing that what's their faces? Shit. What's their names? This is about the 4th meeting that they've pre-registered for and haven't shown up for.
Who?
Give me a minute. Oh shit. What the hell? Where am I?
I don't know why people do that.
I don't know either, but they register and then it's a couple on a partnership.
Oh, I know. I saw who you're talking about.
Yeah. Kennard.
Yeah.
And Mata, MATA, both of those couples keep signing up. They sign up for almost every meeting and they never show up.
Weird.
So anyway, maybe we need to institute a policy saying 3 strikes and you're out. Nah, I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't really hurt anything.
I don't care. People are just rude, but we know all about that, don't we?
Yep.
Anyway, well, I guess I'll wait and see what type of plan the boys come up with. So you think they're going to try and file 2 motions?
What they're talking about.
Okay.
They're definitely filing the one. The second one that they're researching, I guess, to see if they can. I think that's a
Great.
great idea.
Yeah. Just remove him from everything.
And meanwhile, Don Harris is going to call Clint Morse back and say,
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Really? Like, really?
Idiots.
yeah, they are, man. Jesus.
What color is the sky in his world? I'd really like to know, or I'd really like to know what he's smoking.
That's what Don was saying. Don said when he talked to Clint, called him last week, and Don said,
Good God.
I don't know
Man
why
was
he
drunk.
didn't bother, because apparently any proposal that's acceptable to what's his face? Not John, the other one, Chris Kisgan, is going to have something punitive to Kathy, and Don and Clint is like, yeah, pretty much.
We gotta find an investigator to find something. String him up by his balls.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He's a punk.
I think
Don is
there's
exactly
a lot
right. He's a
behind on
punk.
Chris. I have a whole file on civil actions he's been involved in. Just need someone to investigate him. I think it might be worthwhile as far as Chris. I'm not sure that an investigator would find anything on John.
I think John's end, we need to push the SEC angle.
Yeah, well,
I'm pretty sure he's done something funky there.
well, I mean, I reported him. I guess we
I
could-
know, but we gotta somehow, can
Well,
we push?
you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'll send the form. You can do it anonymously. So,
Okay.
you know, if more people report someone, they pay more attention to it. So, I mean, basically, he's taking investors' money without, you know, it's like when we had the syndication guy, he said how you have to send out the PPM and all those disclosures. He's not doing that.
No,
That's
he's not doing that.
that's an SEC violation right there. So,
Well, I think that's how we get him, but I think Kisgan, we just put somebody on his ass and follow him for a bit. We're gonna find a whole bunch of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty
That
sure
should, hopefully that will make him go away.
he's got some stuff out there in his past for sure.
Maybe stuff that little Madison doesn't know about.
Now I like the way you're thinking.
I'm sure the threat of that is gonna make him rethink his strategy.
Yeah, maybe.
On the PI.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one. I've got somebody that I can call and ask them. He works for, and he used to be our Raleigh cop, but now he's working for a private firm. So
Yeah. I got about 4 or 5 ex-Wake County Sheriff deputies.
yeah,
One that was next in line under the sheriff, one of the majors that has his own PI company. And
get some quotes, y'all. Get us some quotes.
yeah. Find out what they'll charge just to
Yeah.
dig up some dirt.
Yeah. Let's find to see what we can find out.
And if Kathy can supply some information on civil suits and stuff, maybe they can follow that up with whoever.
Yeah, I'll send him my whole file. And God, what was I gonna? Oh, yeah. I mean, I was holding on to that $30,000 check that we made from the pilot program, and I went ahead and deposited it today.
Mhm.
So we have some money.
Yeah, we'll make some money. We always make money.
Yeah.
We'll make money.
I'll call
Anyway.
Ralph tomorrow and see kind of what I guess maybe his hourly rate, is that what we look at?
Well, sometimes, usually they'll quote you a flat fee for a background check and then an additional hourly rate probably, but yeah, well, they're all different. So whatever they say.
Whatever their their fee schedule is, I can call this other guy and find out who he's working for and what they do.
Yeah, let's do that.
And let's just see if we can't find. I think if John had to go this alone, it might take the stink out of his shit. If Kisgan withdrew his support.
Where's all his money coming from to pay for this?
Ford.
Maybe
It's
the
$23 million.
I find that hard to believe. Where the hell has he got $23 million?
No,
to
that's
loan?
how much he's lent out. So his, being a hard money lender, he's probably made 10, I'd say.
Well, here's how to think
15%.
of what he made. If he borrows money, he gets people in his lending trust and he pays them. I used to know what it was and now I don't remember, 6 or 8%. And then he charges, 10 or 12.
Hard
Let's
money,
say
15.
he's probably making 4% on that, let's say.
So,
Brad,
do
what, Mike? Till what? He goes bust?
so he's made almost $1 million in fees.
Of course, not that you can believe anything he says, but
No,
I was gonna say,
no. Plus,
But
plus
the
all
point
the
is,
other.
he's making
courses.
a pretty penny.
But who's keeping all the money of all these courses he's charging for? Like the $1,200 a pop and all that. Who's getting that money?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he pays his little co-instructor something, but
Well,
most of it-
exactly. So any of those classes or meetings that he charges for, he's keeping the cash.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt Mr. Kisgan's getting any cut of that.
No, he's not seemed to be involved at all. Who knows what he's even doing these days?
No, maybe we should see if what's the name of his company? See if any permits have been pulled.
I don't remember. I can look it all back up again. I'll just put it all out of my mind.
Not a biggie. No, let's have somebody else do the dirty work.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, I'll call this guy tomorrow and see,
yeah, I'll call Ralph.
see if we can find somebody to dig some shit up, because they just gotta be,
Something's got to be
they've
done.
gotta be put out of their misery, seriously.
Yeah.
Because that's all they are, is straight misery.
You're like a gnat that won't go away. So
No. And, well, I mean, the morbid part of me really, really wants to get into court and watch them lie to the judge and then have the judge go, what the fuck? Because I think I think this one's as smart as the last one and doesn't buy into their bullshit. But I'd love to see them scramble for stuff. And I'd just love to go and sit in court and have them on the stand and just sit there and stare at them.
Yeah,
Kathy, how long before it would go to court if it goes?
probably,
Oh, next year.
yeah, probably be 9 months to a year.
Wow.
I still think we should all get together and go to the Hickory Tavern for dinner.
Yeah,
We should have a board meeting there.
yeah.
Can we do that?
I'd do it.
I'd do it. I've been wanting to go there forever. I wanted Karen to come with me. I said, we got to go to the Hickory Tavern for drinks. And we're just going to sit at the bar and fucking stare at the piece of shit.
I wonder if he's a part owner, because everything he does is there, everything.
Except
I'm
for
pretty
when
sure he's lent them money.
Preston now.
Well, yeah, he's using Preston and our publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, go figure.
Jackass. All
What
right.
an
I've
a-hole.
talked about him enough for one day. Ain't giving him any more space in my head. I'm out.
No.
Have a good night.
All right,
No. Ciao,
bye.
peeps.
Bye.